everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fever Talk podcast. My name is Maghalie Rochette, and today we have a very special episode, very special series. We will talk about women's health, more specifically menstruation, the menstrual cycle, periods, all of these things that somehow we never talked about. And yet it is something that touches all women. So why don't we talk about it? Being an athlete, I never had regular periods, and I never really thought too much about it because I thought it was normal. At some point, I actually didn't have them at all. I was almost proud of it because for me it meant that I'm training hard enough. It was so normalized, like that's what people were telling you, you would go to the doctor and talk about like, oh, I don't have my periods, and they were like, oh, well, if you train a lot, that's normal. So that's what I believed. As I grew up, I realized that's wrong, like it's not normal. That's our reproductive system. If it's not working, something's wrong. It wasn't long after I started mountain biking that I wanted to compete. I was competitive and I wanted to see how I compared with the other girls, so I started racing regional, local mountain bike races when I was probably 8 years old. Eventually, a friend called me and said, hey, there's this race, it's called cyclocross, you should come try it out. And I absolutely loved it. From the first time I did it, I was like, oh my God, like the vibe here is great, the people are nice, I love the intensity of the racing, and started doing more and more and more of it. The thing is, it's inconvenient to have your periods, it's not that fun. And so you wonder, like, if I go through this whole process to be healthier and have my periods, and then on the race day that's important for me, I feel like crap because I have my periods, like, was it worth it? What I've been learning through this process is actually it doesn't have to be that way. That's how I started trying to educate myself on the subject a little bit more. You pay attention to your training and your sleep and all these little details, but we never pay attention to our menstrual cycle. And like, I felt like that was wrong. I felt like there was something there that I should know more about. When I started reading, I learned that actually when you have your periods, this is the phase of the menstrual cycle where your body is the most primed for exercise, because that's where your hormone levels are lower. That, for me, made a huge difference mentally when I approach a race. Now that I know and that I got to know myself, if I have my period, I'm like, bring it on. I can perform well, and that is a huge advantage when you show up on the start line. By knowing myself better and by having my cycle and working with it, it can actually be a superpower. When I'm on the start line, it's always the same. I visualize clipping into my pedal. I know like exactly where it's gonna hit my foot. I breathe, I try to smile, and tell myself like, okay, like you got this, and then I just focus on looking. I don't know if I'll ever be the best in the world, but if I can, that would be really cool. Maybe 2 years ago, I was 2 minutes from the best in the world, and last year 1 minute, and this year I'm fighting for it, and it's within reach, and that's really motivating. Having been on the podium doesn't mean that I'll always be on the podium, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh boy, that was bad. How did that feel for you? It was really bad. I didn't feel bad, I just couldn't go fast.
The main competitive advantage you can have, in my opinion, is being healthy. Now I'm slowly learning that depending on where you are in your cycle, like some foods are more important at different moments. You need to give your body enough food so it has the energy for what you're demanding from it. If I don't have my cycle, it's often because my body doesn't have the energy it needs to make this happen. And to have the energy, I need to eat more food or eat the right food at the right time. You know, what changed it for me was someone being open to talk about it. And I thought, if I can share my personal journey to other people, hopefully it has the same effect on them and they can also learn about it and then start to know themselves and be comfortable with it. As you grow up, you realize, like, it's a beautiful thing. It's awesome to be able to have a beautiful female body that is also strong and capable and able to do all these sports and activities that you want to do. So I don't think it needs to be something that sets you back. It should be something that gives you power.